What's up, guys? So I just wanted to make a quick video on what I believe is the best way of controlling your exhaust valves on a C7 Corvette or a 6th gen Camaro. And that's actually by using HP tuners versus using like a range device or a mild to wild switch or just pulling the fuse. So you actually have quite a bit of control over your exhaust valve settings with HP tuners. Anywhere from outright disabling it, which would be kind of pointless. If you just want it completely disabled all the time, your best bet is just to pull the fuse. That's definitely going to be the cheaper option. But you can get actually really in depth with it if you want to. You can control each and every mode. You can control when they open, at what RPM and in what gear, certain things like that. But for me personally, even though this isn't a daily driver, I do occasionally bring it to work, but I work shift work, so that means I might be starting this car up at 3 o'clock in the morning some days, or coming home about the same time. And this thing has long tube headers with no cats, so it's pretty fucking loud. So to avoid pissing my neighbors off any further, I went ahead and put my fuse back in. And I'm going to make some adjustments to my exhaust valve settings to have them open when I want them and close when I want them. Also, I usually keep this car in tour mode. I like, tour mode as far as the suspension goes. It's the most comfortable for daily driving. So what I've been doing is just keeping it in tour mode as far as the little mode selector there goes, and then I'll go through the radio and select, your exhaust settings there. You can select any of the three. So I'll put it in track mode on there. But what I'd really like to do is not have to go through the radio, because that's kind of a pain in the ass, especially while driving. And I'd like to put it in auto. If you put it in auto on the radio, it'll just go off of your mode selector. But in tour mode, your exhaust valves are open, I'd say half the time, but they do close a lot more often than, say, track mode. Even in track mode, they do occasionally close. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn tour mode into they're open 100% of the time. And then I'm going to take eco or weather mode, and I'm going to have them closed 100% of the time. That way, when I start this car up in the morning, I can have it in either eco or weather mode, start it up, get out of my neighborhood, and then if I want to, I can open it back up by going to tour mode or something like that. So first things first, obviously plug your laptop into your HP Tuners module and then into your OBD2 port. And then you're going to want to go ahead and put your car in accessory mode. Just hold your start button with the clutch out and your foot off the brake. There we go. Now that you're in accessory mode, you can go ahead and go to flash, read vehicle, and just hit gather info. And you're going to want to make sure your CCM is selected as read entire. So these cars, the exhaust valve settings are actually under the CCM, not your ECM. So once you read your vehicle, you can go ahead and open your tune file, go to the system tab, and here are all your active exhaust settings. If you just wanted to outright disable it, you could do that right here. You can also disable your AFM valves. Mine still says enabled, but this is a Z06, so it actually does not even have those valves. I think that's only on the Stingrays and Grand Sport, and I'm not too sure about 6th gen Camaros. What we're going to be looking at is performance modes. Now, you'll notice there are 7 different modes. Don't freak out. I really don't know what modes 0, 5, 6, and 7 do. All of mine are just 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I've already figured out which modes are what. But in case yours is different, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same on 6th gen Camaros. I'll go ahead and show you how you can find out what mode matches what setting from your mode selector. So to find out which mode is which, we're just going to go to our VCM scanner tool, go over to channels, hit add channel, and you're going to go under CCM, systems, active exhaust, and the only one we're really concerned with is performance mode. So you're going to go ahead and double click that one and add it to your channels list. So now we can see it's added to our channels list. We can go ahead and connect the vehicle. We don't even have to start it. Start scanning. Like I said, the vehicle's not even running, but we can see right now we're in performance mode number 1, which for my car is actually touring mode. So go to the next mode. We're now in sport mode. And you see now it's showing number 2. Next mode, track mode, 3. Next mode, weather mode, 4. And next mode, eco mode, also 4. So both weather mode and eco mode on at least this car use the same exhaust settings. So now that we know which mode is which, mode number 3 on my car was actually track mode. So you got 2 options, closed percent and open percent. I'm not 100% sure what they mean, but if you look at closed percent on track mode, almost the entire table is -1. And obviously track mode is when it's open the most. So that tells me -1 is what we want to leave our valves open. And it's the same thing for the open percent table. They're all almost -1 except for one small section in 5th gear and then this undefined, which, like I said, I don't know what that means either. So performance mode 1 for me was actually touring mode, and touring mode is the one that I want open all the time. So I'm simply going to take this entire table, even 8th gear, even though this is actually a manual car with only 7 gears, and I'm just going to make it -1 across the board. Close that, and I'm going to do the same for the open percent. That means in touring mode, my exhaust valves should always be open no matter what. So I went ahead and just made mode 2 and mode 3, which were actually sport and track mode for me. I made those 100% open all the time as well. I just put -1 across the board. Now performance mode 4 was actually the eco or weather mode, which is also the stealth mode if you go through the radio. And you'll notice this is 100% for most of the table, except once you get real high in the RPMs, it'll actually force the valves open. I'm going to go ahead and just 100 out this table to where they're always closed, no matter what. Alright, so mode 1, 2, and 3, I got always open, and then mode 4, I got always closed. I know it's kind of tricky. Just remember that -1 actually means the valve is 100% open, and then 100 actually means the valve is closed. I also went ahead and went to the exhaust rumble enable settings, and I added mode 1. I just put a 1 here where there used to be a 0, and that enables it for what is tour mode for me. Like I said, it might be different for y'all's car. That's why you gotta scan it and figure out what's what. And then I left 0, 5, 6, and 7 alone. I could not figure out how to get those modes to activate. I drove around, I messed with some things. I could never get it to activate when I was scanning. So they might only be for like automatic transmissions, or maybe it's only on the Grand Sport or Stingray. I really don't know. But like I said, I'm just going to leave those alone. I'm going to go ahead and save it and flash it to the car. Should be exactly what I'm looking for. Alright, I flashed the car with the new tune. I already tested it a little bit, so everything seems to be working as it should. But just as a little demonstration, the car was last in tour mode, which remember is now the extremely loud mode. So let's say I want to put it in stealth mode before I start it, because it is like 10:30 right now. I'll just go ahead, put it in accessory mode, and see, it's currently in tour mode. Switch it over to eco or weather. Either one will do the same thing in the way I have it configured. Push my clutch in, start it up, nice and quiet. I'll go ahead and take it out on the road real quick and show you some of the sounds it makes. So just got back from a quick little drive, and everything's working as I expected it to. So yeah, guys, I really do believe this is the best solution compared to, you know, a range device which you have to leave plugged in all the time, or something like a mild to wild switch that you gotta rig up in your fuse box. Doing it this way, you're just using the factory computer to do what you want. All you're doing is changing the parameters. There's nothing you have to leave plugged in, you know. And the options are pretty much endless. I mean, there's so much more you can adjust if you really want to get in depth with it. The upfront cost is going to be a little bit more if you don't already have one of the HP tuner modules. But all around, I still believe this is worth it. If you do already have one of these, it's only going to be 2 credits, which cost about $100 to flash your CCM. The CCM is licensed separately from your ECM, so if you've had your card tuned before, you're still going to have to buy a $100 credit to flash your CCM. But like I said, I still believe it's worth it. This is just way better than, you know, rigging something up. I mean, people spend $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 plus on these cars, and you're just going to rig something up in your fuse box. I mean, come on now. So, if any of you guys have any questions, let me know. I have a pretty good idea of how this works on C7s. It might be a little bit different on some of the newer models. This one's a 2015. I don't know 100% sure how it's going to work on the 6th gen Camaros, but it should be relatively similar. And it may actually work on some of the Cadillacs as well, like the CTS-V or the ATS-V. I'm not 100% sure. And I don't think this will work on the new C8 Corvettes. I don't believe they have any sort of tunability as of this video, at least. But if any of you guys have any questions, like I said, just let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.